Hello, everyone. My name is George Bina. I'm from Syncrosoft, the company that develops oXygen XML editor. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to a new oXygen XML webinar. A couple of weeks ago, we released version 16, and we thought to schedule 2 webinars to go through the XML development and XML authoring new additions. Today we will see what is new on the XML development part, and next week we have another webinar that will cover the XML authoring part. I invited my colleague Octavian, who will show you what's new on the XML development front. And before that, we have as agenda a quick introduction with some useful information for you during the webinar. Then Octavian will present what's new on the XML development. After that, we will have a questions and answers section, and a quick overview of upcoming events, webinars, and conferences where you can meet us. During the webinar, you can ask questions either on Twitter using the oXygen XML hashtag or mentioning oXygen XML in your tweet. And of course, you can also use the questions panel in the GoToWebinar interface. And depending whether you are on Windows or Mac, it may be either this, it may look either like this or like this below. Before we begin, we will also like to find some information about what technologies you use for processing XML and what are your plans for using XSLT 3.0. And let me try to launch this. So please answer, you know, what do you use for processing XML documents? XSLT, XQuery, XProc, and if there is other technology that we are using, you can specify that in the questions panel. So we'll give a few more seconds for you to vote. Okay, I see that this is more or less stable, so okay, people are starting to vote again. Okay, then I will close this now and see. Let's see the results. So it seems that almost everyone is using XSLT. 1/3 XQuery, 20%, close to 20% XProc, and I will probably read this at the end to see what other technologies you are using. And I see the Schematron, RelaxNG, but yes, and OmniMark is mentioned there. Let's see the second question. So we are interested to see if you are considering using XSLT 3.0. So if you already use XSLT 3.0, we include Saxon, the latest version of Saxon that provides support for many of the XSLT 3.0 new additions. And yeah, we will use this information basically to increase the priority of XSLT 3.0 new additions probably. Okay, we'll have 10 more seconds for this. I'll close this now and share the results. So we have 11% of the participants already using XSLT 3.0, and half of you are considering planning to use XSLT 3. 1/3 are happy with XSLT 2.0, and a very small fraction still stuck with XSLT 1 and or not using XSLT at all. Okay, I will hide this, and now it's time to make Octavian presenter, so we can start our actual presentation today.
Okay, hello everyone, my name is Octavian. I'm a member of the oXygen team for more than 10 years now, and I'm mostly involved in the XML developing part. In this presentation, I'll show you the new features in version 16, and we'll focus on the XSLT support, XSLT Quick Fixes support. That is the major feature. I have here an outline of the presentation. So first we look at the XSLT Quick Fixes, then we see the refactoring actions that were added in this version. Next we'll see the XPath over multiple file support, then the development of the XSLT style sheets for Saxon CE, and at the end the new Ant editor. So let's start with the XSLT Quick Fixes. So the oXygen offers multiple proposals for validation errors. So the quick fixes are proposals used to fix a validation error, and these proposals are computed on each modification of the document. So they are valid proposals on when you modify the document. We offer fixes for problems like missing template, misspelled template name, missing function, reference to undeclared variable or parameter, undeclared character set, attribute set, and so character map attribute set, and others. I will show you an example in oXygen on how you can use the quick fixes. I have here a folder with quick fixes, and I have a style sheet opened in editor. And let's go to the first error. Click on the range ruler. And this error says that the template does not exist, so it's not created in the current style sheet. If you click on this error, you see that in the left side a red bulb appears. This means that oXygen can offer quick fixes for this error. And if you click on this, the quick fix proposals appear. So you have here the possibility to create a template with this name, or to change the reference of the current call template to an already declared template that has a similar name with the current one. You can also show the quick fixes proposals using Alt-1 key, so the shortcut, and are shown at the current position. In my case, I have a template that has a misspelled name, so I'll change the reference to the correct template name, and then the error disappears. Next error, I have here also a call template, but this time there is a parameter that is not declared in the template referred by this call template. So if we show the quick fixes proposal for this error, we see that oXygen proposes us to add a new parameter in the template with this name, or remove the parameter from the current call template. I'll choose to add the new parameter in the template, and oXygen automatically takes me to the insertion point, and we see that the new parameter was inserted between the two, so the order from the call template is kept. Let's go back and we see that now the call template is valid. Next, we have here a variable that is not declared. So if we show the quick fixes for this, so Alt-1 key, we see that oXygen proposes us to create a variable, global or local, to create a parameter with this name, or to change the reference to an already declared variable or parameter that has a similar name with the current one. In my case, I'll choose to create a variable, a global variable, and the new variable is added after the last variable declared in my style sheet. And also this error, it's now gone. Let's go to the next error. Now we have a function here that is not declared, and the quick fix proposals for this one are to create a function with the same number of parameters, and also to change the reference to an already declared function that has the same number of parameters and a similar name. In my case, I want to create a function, and the new function is added after the current template, and then I can continue to implement it. And also this error, now it's gone, and the document becomes valid. So the quick fixes helps you to quickly solve the errors, but also speed up your work by allowing you to create templates, to create functions or variables and parameters. And together with the quick assist support, it offers a complete development support for to edit your style sheets. I'll show you an example later on how we can use the quick assist and the quick fix together to develop a style sheet. Next we have the XSLT Quick Assist actions. New actions, new refactoring actions were added in version 16. You are able now to extract a local or global variable from an XPath expression, also to extract a parameter, template or global parameter, and also the current refactoring action were improved and were made more accessible by adding them on the Quick Assist menu. Let's see an example on how we can use the Quick Assist and the Quick Fixes together to develop a style sheet. Switch to oXygen. Let's close this style sheet. I have here an XML file which contains some books. So for each publisher, there is a list of books with a title, author, and a price. And I want to create a style sheet that will generate a table with these books. So let's say new file, XSLT style sheet. Let's set the name of the style sheet. Create. We need to create a transformation scenario in order to generate the output. So new XSLT transformation. I'll use the book's XML file as input and the current style sheet as XSL. Then the output I want to be saved in the book's HTML file, and I want to be opened. Okay. If I apply the transformation, we see that the book's HTML was created and the books are listed as on a single line here. So I want to create a table with these books. Let's switch to oXygen and add here an XSL template that will match the root, so the library. Then I'll add an HTML in the head. Let's add a title. the list of books. Then in the body, we want to add a table, and in the table we want to add the books. We have also here the XSLT input view. This shows the structure of the XML document that we associated through the scenario. So I can insert here easily for each book just by drag and drop the book element from here, drop it here. oXygen proposed me a couple of XSL instructions. The XSL, so for each book, I want to generate now a row in the table. For this, I will call a template and say XSL call template that generates the books. And I will set the information about the book that I want to generate. So I'll send it as parameters, the title of the book, and I'll select the title element value, then the author, and I'll select the author element and the price of the book. I'll select the price element. Now to create this template, you just use Alt-1 key, so you show the quick fix menu, and oXygen proposes you to create this template because it does not exist, and it's added after the current template, and you see that the parameter names are added automatically. Then we can continue to implement this and add here a table row, and on the first column we'll add the value of XSL value of title, so the title of the book, the parameter title. And let's copy this column just to speed up. Then on the second column, we'll add the author of the book, and on the last column, write the price. Now, if I want to reuse this template, I'll just need to extract it in a new style sheet, and oXygen helps me to do that just by selecting it and pressing Alt-1 key. It helps me to move the selected content to another style sheet. You can move it to an existing style sheet or to a new style sheet. I'll choose to move it to a new style sheet and set the name of the new style sheet. And save it. And the new style sheet was created with the template, and the template was replaced in my books style sheet with an XSL include instruction. Then let's add also border here. And if I transform this now, I see that I got a table with the books. Now I want to compute the average price of the books. So I need the book elements. For this, I want to extract this in a variable. So I just select the XPath expression, press Alt-1 key, or use the yellow bulb from here, is the same thing, and use the extract local variable to extract the current XPath expression as a local variable. Then you start the rename of the variable. A default name is set for the extracted variable, and you can change it very easily. I'll set to books. And then I want to print the average price of the books, so I'll say average price. It's the value of and I'll use the average function, and I'll pass as parameters the book's price, and I want to be around value. Then save this and run again the transformation, and we see that we have here the average price of the books. Now I want to compare this average price with the price of the book, and I want to add a new message that says if the book is expensive or not. And for this I need to extract the average price to be compared with the current price of the book. So I select the XPath expression that gets me the average price and use the quick assist menu, Alt-1, extract this, set a name, average price. Then I need also the price of the book, and I'll save it also in the local variable. Say price, enter to rename it, and then here I'll insert an XSL variable which will get the value of the function, and let's say expensive message. And this will get the value of the function that I need to create. To create a function, I need to define first the namespace for the function. So I'll go on the root, and here I'll declare a namespace for the functions, prefix f, and the namespace http oXygen XML ns functions. Then I'll use this prefix, and I'll insert the name of the function, generate expensive message. Then I'll set the parameters. So I need the average price. Let's close this, and the price of the book. Now to create this function, just use the quick fix menu this time, Alt-1 key, and oXygen proposed me to create this function. The new function it's added after the current template, and I'll set a name for the first parameter, average price, and the second is the price. Then I'll compare the two values using XSL choose, and if the price of the book is greater than the average price, I'll add a message is expensive, otherwise I'll add a message is not. Now let's save, and now I want to use this variable and pass it to the generate book template to print it in the table. So I'll use XSL param, and I'll add the parameter name, and I will select the value of the expensive message. Then to add this parameter in the template, just use the quick fix, Alt-1 key, and oXygen proposed me to add the new parameter in the template, and hit enter. It takes me to the style sheet that contains the modification. And now I can just add here a new column with a value of the message. Okay, now let's go back. And if I apply the transformation, we see that we have for each book a message which says that it's expensive or not. So the Quick Assist and the Quick Fix helps you to easily develop your style sheets. It helps you to create templates and to generate parameters, variables, and it's easier to develop in this way. Let's go to the next part. The XPath in file support. So oXygen added support to execute XPath over multiple files, starting with version 16, and this support is available in XPath toolbar and in the XPath builder. You can execute XPath over a predefined set of files, like the project files or the selected project files, over the data map files, or all open files in the editor. But you can also define a collection of files and save it and run the XPath over that collection. We can also filter the scope, so we can define some filters to execute over to include just a part of the files. And also we added support to stop the execution of the XPath in the XPath toolbar. So let's see how we can use this feature in oXygen. Switch to oXygen, and I'll close this. I have here a folder which contains some data, some dogbooks, and some TI documents. And I want to execute an XPath expression that will get me all the titles from these documents. So I'll just go in the XPath toolbar, / title. Then from this drop-down menu, I can select a scope. In my case, I want to execute on the selected project resources, and I selected XPath in files folder, and then hit enter here, and I'll get the results down here. Now, I noticed that some of the titles are too long, so I want to determine which of the titles are longer than 5 words. So I will insert here a condition, and I'll count the number of words from the title. So I'll insert a count, and I'll tokenize the title by space, and I'll tokenize the normalize string. And if the title has more than 5 words, I want to see it. Then hit enter to execute it, and I got the results here. I can also filter these results. For example, if I want only the data resources to check first, I have here also other resources. I can filter the resources on which the XPath expression is executed using the XPath filter, file filter, and here I can enter a pattern, let's say data, then hit OK, and then execute again the XPath expression. And now I have only the data files. If I want, for example, only the data files from the IT book, I can go and open the data map and then select the current data map hierarchy as scope and execute the XPath expression only on this data map. And I can check first these titles. Next, let's see the support for Saxon CE. So oXygen added support to edit Saxon CE style sheets. Saxon CE, it's a XSLT2 processor that runs in browser. It uses specific functions and instructions to interact with the user and can handle user events like mouse click, mouse over, and others, and can modify the HTML document, so it runs on a client side. And oXygen offers support to edit this type of style sheets by offering validation, content completion, and syntax highlight. I'll show you an example on how we can use oXygen to create this type of style sheet and how we can use Saxon CE to transform it. So let's switch to oXygen, and we need to close these files. I have here on a local server, it's an Apache, and I have some files, some sample files, and I downloaded also the Saxon CE. This is the Saxon CE downloaded from it's Saxon CE 1.1 downloaded from the Saxonica website, and I just put it here, and I have an HTML file. This contains in the head a script which loads the Saxon CE, so it refers this folder, and then has a function which specifies the source and the style sheet for the processor. These are used to transform when the processor is loaded in the browser. It will transform these two. Then I have here in the body a title and then a paragraph and a div which contains an ID. And here I want to generate a table with some books that are in the XML file. So this is the XML file that I'll use. It's the same XML file that we used it earlier. I have here the publisher and the book with the title, author, and the price. If we open this, let's switch to the browser to see how the HTML file looks now. So this is my local host, and I have here the book's HTML file with demo and Saxon CE sample. Now let's create the style sheet. So I'll use new file, and I'll select Saxon CE style sheet. I'll set the name books XSL and create. We see that the namespaces for Saxon CE are added here, and now I can add a template that will match the root. Then in the template I'll insert an XSL result document, and the href will be the ID of the div where I want to add the result. So this identifies the node with an ID of main, and here will be added the result of the instruction and the mode. And the method will be append content. So the content that will be added in the result document will be appended in the node identified by this ID. Next, let's insert the information that we want to add. So a table, and in the table I'll insert an XSL for each. I'll match all the books, and then I'll insert a table for each book, and on the first column, let's add the value of the title of the book, and on the second column, let's add the author of the book. Let's set order, and now I'll save this style sheet, and if I go into the browser and refresh it, I got a point here. Something didn't work. Let's see. So we have the books XML. Okay, I got it. So it's the book. Now let's refresh again, and we see we have the table here. Now I want to add some I want to handle some user events. For example, if I click on a cell from the table, I want to change the color of the text from here. So let's see how we can do this with the Saxon CE support. So let's add here a template that will match the TD element, and the mode will be XSL. On-click. This means that Saxon CE will handle the on-click events on this element, and then I'll use a specific Saxon CE instruction, XSL, to set an attribute on the current element. And we see that oXygen provides in the content completion the available instructions, and we have also documentation for this. And I will set an attribute here that says the style color attribute, and the color, let's be orange. Then save this, and let's go back to the browser. I will refresh it. Please make sure that you clear the cache of the browser before starting developing such HTML file with Saxon CE, but because sometimes can happen that the browser can cache the files that you use and you'll have problems. So now if you click on a cell, you see that the color is changed. I can customize a little bit this color, and I want to change it. When I click it on an orange color, I want to make it green, for example. So let's go to our style sheet and extract this in a local variable. Let's say color. Then I'll add here an XPath expression that says if the style attribute contains orange, then I want to make it green. Otherwise, I want to be orange. So let's save this and go back to the browser, refresh it, and now if I click on this, it makes it orange, then green. So it's very simple to create a style sheet for Saxon CE, and oXygen helps you to do this. You just need to have the Saxon CE and know how to load it in the browser. Next, let's see the ant editor. So in the current version, we added support. We added a new ant editor, which which has validation, content completion, outline view, search and refactoring actions, master file support, and much more. Let's see an example on how we can use this new support. So I have here a folder containing some sample files. I have a build, an unbuild file, and some resources. This build file generates an HTML with some human resources information, so some persons, information about some persons. Let's open this. And let's see, start the content completion. We see that oXygen offers the elements in the content completion, and we have documentation for these elements, and the documentation is in HTML format. Also, we can use the content completion for properties or for targets. We can see here the system properties or the properties defined in the current file. We can refer the targets for example, from here, from the default. Control space to start the content completion. Also, the outline view presents the components, the properties, and the targets from the current file, and you can easily navigate through them. You can filter them. We added also support to search and refactor. For example, you can use the Quick Assist menu to determine from where this property is used, and the information it's added in the left side in a view, and you can see that it's used from the clean target and from the copy resources, and then the copy resources is referred from the generate persons target and the generate HTML, and then the generate HTML is the default target. If I run this build, oXygen automatically runs the default transformation scenario and runs the default target. And if I go in the ant editor, an output file, output directory was created with the resources, and we have here index.html, and I will open this in system application, and this is the information that was generated by the build. Now, oXygen also supports custom targets, so you can supports validation and content completion. So if I insert here a custom target, I already defined a custom target. This is a dialog which shows a message. This is the jar containing the custom task. So let's insert here a task definition and the name of the task definition. Let's be dialog box. Then the class path will be library and dialog jar file. Then I need to define the class name, which is dialog task, and we see that if the class name is not correct, oXygen complains about this, so it looks in the jar file and determines if the class name is correct. So in my case, it's a dialog box task. Now I will add a new target. Let's say the name start, and in this target I will add a custom task just that I defined. So in the content completion I get here the custom task. Then oXygen also presents the attributes that can be set on this task that are collected from the Java class. So I need to set a message. I'm ready to start the build. This is the message that will be shown in the dialog box when you run the build. Then the option type determines the type of the dialog that you want to show. So in my case, I want to show an yes/no dialog. Also the values, you see that the values from the task are presented in the content completion. Then I need to set a property. This is where the response will be saved, the response from the dialog. And we have also a title. Build persons. Then after I show the dialog box, I want to call the default target. So I'll use an and call, and target will be generate HTML. And I want that in the generate HTML, I'll add a condition here. So this will be run if the response is true. So if the response from the dialog is true, then we'll generate the person, otherwise we'll stop. So now if we save this and go in the transformation scenario, I'll duplicate the current scenario and I'll create a new one for the start target. Let's say start, and the build target now is start, is not the default target. And then I'll transform this one, and we see that the message is displayed in the dialog, and we can reject the build, or we can generate it, and it generates the output that you've seen before. So thank you very much. I hope you liked the presentation, and I hope you have questions. My colleague George will read some of the questions you already added. If there are other questions that will not be answered, we will answer later on email. So now I'll give control to George. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Octavian. I really enjoyed the presentation. I hope all of you enjoyed what you've seen. And there are a few questions. I hope you will also send some more. The first one was related to so having errors in style sheets because variables are declared in other parts, not in those style sheets. And maybe you can show how this can be solved with oXygen. The question was if the quick fixes support helps with that. And the answer is that is not a problem for quick fixes. It's a problem that the module is referring a component that is not directly visible from that module. Because the module is not valid standalone, it is used in a specific context. It is imported from another style sheet that has that variable or template visible. For that, we have support for what we call master files, and Octavian can show how you can enable the master file support from the project options drop down.
I already have
but you can show the drop down.
Yes, it's here. It's the enable master file support. So on the project or on the project menu, enable master file. So
once you enable the master file support, you will have this master files folder, and you should add there your style sheet that includes the other module, the other XSLT modules. And in that case, oXygen will validate the module in the context of that master file. automatically, and you will see variables, templates, you will get content completion, and the validation will be performed in that context. Another question was related to the setup for Saxon CE, and the question was if Saxon CE needs to be installed locally on the computer running the web browser, or it needs to be installed on the server.
And this should be on the server, yes.
Because the Saxon CE is referred from the HTML page, it needs to be accessible from that page, basically. So it should be on the server, and the browser can be anywhere. Another question was whether the recording will be available. And the answer is yes. In a couple of days, we will make the recording, the slides, and the source files used during the webinar available from our events page. Are there plans to make the printing functionality more robust? Fonts, font sizes, line numbering options, etc. I'm not aware of a top priority issue on this. Probably we'll add this on our issue tracking system, or increase the priority of that if it is already recorded. There is still some more time for questions, so if you have additional questions, do not hesitate to ask them now. One remark will be that we plan to extend this quick fixes support also to other types of documents. For instance, XML schema and even XML documents themselves. For XML documents, we are also considering using quick fixes within schematron files. So you can identify a problem with the schematron schema, and you can also provide a number of automatic fixes for that problem. Let me take the presenter role again. As I mentioned at the start of the webinar, we have another webinar scheduled for next week at the same time. That will cover the new additions on the XML authoring support in oXygen 16. And other upcoming conferences are Congility, that starts tomorrow. We are a sponsor at Balisage also this year. We'll be at TC UK at the TCOM Roadshow. We have a presentation there and a panel. At LavaCon, we will exhibit there, and we will have also a presentation at Information Development World, TC World, Data Europe, and we also organize one-day event for the Data Open Toolkit project. So you can also meet us there. Let me quickly check if there are any more questions. Yes, a suggestion about a webinar about the JSON support. Probably we should have also that, and also a next query webinar probably. Okay, so I think we are almost on time. So you can find also the next events on our website under company events program. Here you can see the upcoming conferences and webinars, so you get more details about these events where you can meet us. Thank you very much for attending our webinar, and thank you, Octavian, for your presentation, and hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye, thank you.